Hey guys, how's it going? It is meal planning time again, and now that things are finally getting on track, I can talk, I swear. Um, it, I've got stuff to share with you guys. Okay, so lost my pen. Last week, I shared what we had done the week prior and last week because I hadn't done meal planning, at least not very well, for a couple weeks prior to that because of traveling and company and all sorts of fun things like that. So let me show you what happened this last week and some explanations to go with that, and then what our plans are for the upcoming week. Okay, so last week we had steak and potato soup. I admitted in the last meal planning video that was actually something we had just eaten because I was running behind in recording. Not running behind this week. So that's good. The chicken tikka masala. That did not happen. I did not get any of the chicken thawed. So I figured I would have Sean grab the raw chicken breast so I can make it this coming week. And he didn't get the raw either. So if I thaw chicken, may or may not have it this week, but I'll show you. I actually don't have it written down on this week's meal plan just yet. So I guess I won't show you. I'll just tell you that. Griddle cakes. Those did happen. Quesadillas. There is a lovely X right here. If you watched yesterday's grocery haul, you know I explained that the chickens we bought last week, they were bad. That it was actually really disappointing. He said that the guy was actually putting them out when he grabbed them, so he didn't even think to check the dates. Usually they're good for like a solid week after we buy them. We don't wait that long. But we had waited about 3 days when to do it, and we're like, oh, and they were funky. So it was really disappointing. He thought about taking them back and getting our money back, but it's been kind of crazy around here lately, and he made the executive decision to just, you know what, we'll just take the loss and pay more attention to the dates going forward. So that's the way that played out. And then tater tot casserole, which did not happen. The days that it was cool enough to bake, we were actually really busy. So there was that. But I have 3 things over here, and I wrote stars next to them because these are things that were not on the original plan, things that came about instead. In fact, let me explain here. So this tater tot casserole, we actually started browning the meat for it on one of those days. And then some stuff came up. I had some phone calls I had to take right as I was making everything. So I had one of the girls brown it for me, but she's never made the tater tot casserole before. So instead, we switched to pasta with sauce. We added that browned hamburger to some pasta sauce, threw in some cooked noodles, used the last of the pasta we had on hand too. So then there was a taco bake and the grilled cheese and soup. That grilled cheese and soup that I have added for the last few weeks, it actually happened. And everybody loved it. Even the extra kiddo who is not a fan of cheese. Turns out if you tell him he liked something before, there's a good chance he'll go ahead and eat it. And we thought he had tried grilled cheese once before when nobody was looking. And so we're like, oh, you liked this last time. He's like, I did? And oh, yeah, you liked it. He devoured it. Right up until like the last 3 bites. And he's like, I don't know if I liked this. Guys, I tell you, kids, they are funny in that way. The taco bake that's on here is actually a recipe out of the Bisquick cookbook that I have, which I gotta tell you guys, that is one of our favorite finds that I got. One of the really little community libraries nearby us, twice a year, they do a big book sale. And you come in and one bag, usually about a grocery bag, $5. Whatever books you can fit in it, doesn't matter what they are, how big they are. You fill your bag and it's $5. You can get creative with how you fill it. You can put 2 or 3 things in it. That's up to you. $5. And I like to actually go and get a bunch of cookbooks, because then if I grab, 7, 8 cookbooks and, 1 or 2 of them I'm flipping through, I'm like, there is nothing in here I'll make. I am not going to feel bad when I actually redonate that to the library for somebody else to buy, because that $5 I spent was still really worth it for all of the other books. So that's where that one falls. So anyhow, that's where the taco bake, and there's actually something else this week that's on there, and then I'll go over some other stuff. So that's where it's at. It was a 50-50 because we added the 3 things that we made that were not on the original plan, plus the 2 things that from the plan that we did make. So I'm sticking with the 5 plan for now, guys. And there's some scribbles I'll explain here in a minute. The top is a shepherd's pie bake. Now, this originally just said shepherd's pie, but we ate it here today. And I got creative with it because the 2 chickens were in the Instant Pots. Normally, I will make the mashed potatoes for the shepherd's pie in the Instant Pot before I throw it all in the oven. And I couldn't do that. It was being used for chickens. So instead, I got creative with that Bisquick. And you know, that stuff is filling and you can get really creative with it. So that worked out pretty well, actually. Bean burritos. I actually need to replenish our stock of refried beans. So that's something I will be making this week. And whenever I make it, I do try to make an extra batch that goes straight into the fridge for bean burritos because the kids really like those too. That'll actually go for a couple of lunches and things like that. French toast. Sean actually brought home a bunch of the really good flavored breakfast spreads, like blueberry breakfast spreads and stuff, which makes phenomenal French toast if you can eat the bread and the eggs, which I can't eat the bread and one of the kids can eat the eggs. So there's that, but we do keep French toast sticks on hand for those cases. But anyhow, so we're going to have French toast at some point here. Bisquick cheeseburger bake. That's another one of those recipes out of that Bisquick book. Gosh, the stuff that's in there is just so, it's convenient and it's yummy. The kids all like it. And so that's another one out of those. And then quesadillas, since he is actually, as I'm recording this, he is upstairs shredding those chickens as I speak. So we will have plenty of chicken. It's going to get us through the week for sandwiches and other stuff, but we will have that for the quesadillas. So I'm going to put that on here. And then on that note, so we've got the Bisquick cheeseburger bake on for this week. And last week we had the taco bake. One of the teenagers has been digging through that book and seeing what else she can make. She's actually made a couple of desserts out of there too. And they've gone over pretty well. There's some quirks, like one of them, they're like, yeah, it's really crumbly. Really not bars, it's more crumble. But she's having fun with it. And so she saw the taco bake and decided to make that one day, which was fine. It was perfect. She wants to make that cheeseburger bake. It is actually something I have made before that all of the kids tend to really like. Guys, it's as simple as, so I'm just going to run through this. So the cheeseburger bake, you make Bisquick mix, but instead of mixing it just for the biscuits, you actually add just a little bit extra liquid so that they're not as thick. And then you mix into that your browned seasoned hamburger. You do whatever vegetables you want. I think, I'm trying to remember if the recipe calls for green beans, maybe. Anyhow, some shredded cheese. You can throw diced tomato. There's all sorts of stuff you can throw into it. You just throw it in a pan like a casserole, bake it, cut it into squares or bars. It's getting late, guys. And it's really good. If you add enough stuff to it, it's got your protein, it's got your vegetables, you've got your biscuits that, if you want to bread with it or whatever, cheese, it's got all of that. You can top it with stuff. It's just good. You can also add that crumbled bacon that we like to buy and have in the pantry. It goes really good in it too. Makes a bacon cheeseburger bake. But that's actually where I went with that shepherd's pie bake. Is instead of putting my meat mixture and everything in the bottom and then mashed potatoes on the top, what I did is I kind of combined, if you've ever made chicken and dumplings and then shepherd's pie, it's kind of combining the two. So I mixed up the biscuit mix and I made it a little bit thinner, put a small layer of what would be the shepherd's pie filling, which I do about 50% hamburger, 50% vegetables. And tonight we had onions, carrots, peas, and green beans in it. So about 50-50 mix. And then I create kind of a gravy in it with stock and a little bit of flour. And then I think I added some minced garlic as well. That's really it, and a little pinch of salt. So I cook all of that. I put a layer in the bottom of my big casserole dish. Then I put the layer of biscuit mix, which I actually made too much. I only doubled it. So it's the equivalent of making 16 biscuits for, 10 people. I thought, okay, that's good. I did not need to double it. In fact, those biscuits baked up so much that it seems like it was half the dish. Now, at the same time, we literally have one helping left. So there's that. And guys, I'm running through this recipe here, and maybe this is something that I can do a separate video on, but this is how I do a lot of my cooking, is I wing a lot of things. The kids like to ask what's for dinner. I say, I'm making something. And so this was one of those nights that got a lot of compliments, because so I put that layer of biscuits, put the rest of the shepherd's pie filling on top so that it would kind of cook up through that mixture. One mistake I made is I should have put tin foil over it. I did not. So the stuff on top started to almost get crispy, but I did not burn anything. It was a perfect amount of time to bake all of the biscuits. It cooked for about 55 minutes, I think, is what it told. But I double everything. So there was 2 pounds of hamburger. And then, like I said, a 50-50 mix of all of that and a doubled batch of Bisquick biscuits. And that's what made all of it. And it fed everybody. There was a couple kids who had salad as well. But pretty much that was it. Now, there was not enough for everybody to have seconds, but it worked out because it was really filling and it was a hit. In fact, I had several of the kids saying, we're going to have this again, right? So I'm going to have to remember that one the next time I cannot make potatoes, because there was one other time I didn't have any potatoes. I ran out because I'd used it for something else. So I shifted it. In fact, that might have even been last week or the week before. And now I can just do this as an alternative. So this is how I get creative. This is what I use, how I use the stuff that's in our pantry, because in our pantry we keep a lot of dry goods. We have a lot of beans and rice. I keep a lot of Bisquick in there because it is so versatile. And I feel like my grandmother, who was Depression era, would be very proud of me with this, because that's the kind of stuff she would have had on hand, is especially the Bisquick and things like that. So I don't know, but anyhow, there is this week's meal plan and how we plan on using all of those groceries that you saw in yesterday's video. And like I said, I'm going to do this 5 days worth this week. I would like to get back up to that 6, 7, but the school year has started and things are just kind of crazy right now. So if I can commit to these 5, that's actually good right now. So there it is. I hope that you are having a blessed day. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you miss everything else coming up next. And I'll see you in the next one.